Hey, everybody. It's time. We are going to finally start our Khorne Chaos Knight Rampager project. Most of you guys who are not into Tau have probably been waiting around for me to start this, so it is time. Hey, everybody. This is Everyman with Everyman's 40K channel. So a couple logistics things first, or formatting things first. These, I'm going to create a playlist very specific to this project. So again, when you go to the channel and you drill down, it'll be in its own little Khorne Knight Rampager playlist. Second, so this is kind of my testimonial for today to kick this project off. To the fact that this is going to be a kit bash. I didn't just go grab a whole bunch of 3D print stuff and 3D printed all these parts and all these things that you're going to see me do. Okay, so if you can see underneath the camera here on the right hand side, this is my kit for the Abominant. Okay, so I do own GW stuff. This isn't all just a 3D, what we call print bash, right, where you just print stuff and slap it together. Here's some parts I've already cut out to do some pre-fitting, and then obviously from the model, right, that was in the opener and I showed you digitally, this is it. Okay, so again, I had to pre-fit some stuff just to kind of get a guide or get an idea of what we're going to do. So this in front of you is what we're going to do. We're going to build him, we're going to kit bash him, we're going to turn him into basically an oversized, Khorne demon like a Bloodthirster or Angron, right? You saw the pictures on the opener. If you haven't, go look at the opener. The very first one where I kicked this off on a video and put together a little video for you guys on what we're going to do. We are going to stand him on a knight base, another knight base. I got extra knight pieces, as you can see over here on the left hand side. So I do have extra knight junk floating around. Okay, so that's it. I mean, that's basically the rundown. Okay, so let's go ahead and start this. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to make an emery board. So what I do, go to Home Depot, right, do a little product introduction here, whatever you call it, product placement. Go to Home Depot. I grab myself some paint sticks because they're free. I take some spray glue, right, 3M 77. This is 3M 90 high strength. I spray one side of the stick, right? I spray the back side of the sandpaper, and then I stick these together and I get basically a homemade emery board. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to shut this off, I'm going to go to the garage. First thing I'm going to do is build me an emery board. All right, I'll be back. Okay, and we are back. So here I got my very aggressive, brand new 60 grit emery board. And then I have an older one here, not so aggressive. It's been used and much smoother. Okay, so you got your aggressive file. Basically, that's what this is. It's just going to be a file. And then we have our not so aggressive file. Okay, so there we go. The first thing we're going to do is we have to be able to get this so it can rest on its own. So I can stand back and not have to touch it and let it go, and I can look at it from a distance, or just put it somewhere where it's not falling over all the time. The 3D printed structure, okay, or the 3D printed model, just like if I was going to sculpt, this becomes the armature. This becomes the foundation of everything that's going to get built off of this. Are we going to cut some of this stuff out, change it, add some stuff? Absolutely. But this in general, okay, this armature, I have to be able to set it on the base in its form and then let it go and just like set it there overnight, whatever. I just don't want this thing to keep falling over as I'm working with it. Okay, now the reason why I made my emery board, okay, is because I'm going to need the emery board to file. Once I break this off, it's only tacked right there, see? So now I need the file so I can file flatly some of these areas so I can test and pre-fit. So what I'm doing is I'm cleaning out, or clearing out, I should say, any high spots from the center. We want the outside surface to mate up naturally with this outside surface. And that's how you're going to close the gap. So the way you close the gap is anything that's in the middle, that's a high point that would stop the edges from meeting up, you want to take those down. So as I'm sanding, I'm focusing on the middle and not so much the outer side, okay, the outer edges. Okay, so check it out. That seam, once I glue it and put some pressure and, get it to where I want it and let it dry and kick it off with some zap kicker, that seam is going to be really good. Okay, so I'm going to take this off. I'm going to pull it down in my lap so I can put pressure and everything with my hands. I'm going to glue it off camera. So I'm going to shut this down, and once I come back, this will be glued and I'll show you the seam. And then we're going to have to do the same thing to the other side. And I am back. So let's take a look. So here's the first leg we were working with. And as you can see, that seam is pretty good. A little bit of X-Acto knife work around a couple areas, and you won't even see that. Nothing that we can't hide either, with a chain, some armor, little bit of work on the back. Okay, now the other leg, little bit of seam work right in there. But overall, I mean, this is pretty good for a 3D model, and getting the seams to come back together. That's pretty good. A little bit of shaving, a little bit of filing. Basically, it's like how you take plastic flashing, right, on a GW model, and you take the flashing where or two pieces of a GW model where you glue them together and you got the seam line. Basically, it's like working that seam line, and that's all you're doing. So again, this is super, super good, super close. Okay, so now on to the next portion where we're actually going to kit bash. So what I've done is last night, sitting there watching TV, I separated these components out of the sprue. I also manipulated them. If you want a super detailed explanation of how to do this, please go check out my Nemesis Dread Knight video. It explains how to reposition like robot legs and what to do on the repositioning steps. On this particular model or this particular project, we have to manipulate the position of this portion right here, this back piston, and where the feet lands. So in this particular example, this was too far forward, or the front part of the leg was too compressed against what would be like the shin. We actually have to open it up and turn it like this to get the foot to stand correctly. So as you can tell, we separated those, and now it's ready to be kind of repositioned and formatted. So the next stage is to glue these together. So let's go ahead. I'm going to glue them together. Simple. My very first Dremel tool. As you can see, this thing is brand new. on Amazon.com. I believe it's $39.99. I got this for like 30% off, so I ended up paying like $25 for it, $24.99. So got a little sanding disc, so I can go ahead and get up inside areas like this and do what I want to with them. Okay. So I recommend getting something like this, but if you don't, you can make tools that are just round tools out of sandpaper and a stick. Okay. Next, we're going to cut off this portion here because we don't need that, and that's just getting in the way of checking the actual fit. Okay, so this is coming off. So that's the next stage, and for this one we're going to go ahead and use a razor saw. This here is coming off. Aggressive sandpaper. Wow, that was wow. Okay, anyway, so we got this side done. We got it pinned, we got it on the base. It can now stand all by itself. That was incredible. I had to turn the camera off. I got the grinder out. I can't work with the camera. I can't hold the stupid doll, grind it and talk, and I mean, it's just too much. It's crazy, but this is where we're at. I had to do a lot of this off camera, grind, glue, fit. Yeah, anyway, so let's take a look. We got one leg done after, about an hour and a half's worth of work. So as you can see, there it is. And that is just the basic leg. Let me bring it in to give you guys a close-up so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do is under there, I'm going to take some either a paper towel or some aluminum foil, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stuff some aluminum foil up in there, compact it and stuff it in there. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate the back of his thigh. Okay, and how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use wood glue and paper towel. And the reason I'm going to use paper towel, okay, is because a lot of paper towels have a texture. This is the mechanical, right? Getting this stuff in here, getting everything aligned so that when you pin it, it looks good, okay? A lot of this stuff on the front, okay, you got to remember we got a armor plate that goes here. We're going to armor plate here off, coming out and covering the knee. And then in addition to that, we're going to put some armor on his leg, okay? This is not done, obviously. We got a long way to go, a lot of work to do. But mechanically, structure-wise, as a skeleton, right, quote-unquote, air quotes, skeleton, and being able to get it on a base and pinned, we achieved what I wanted to achieve today, okay? We're going to work with the other leg. Now, remember where we came from. This is what we had. Okay, that was right there. So we got the angles correct, everything. Working with this side, it's going to be the same thing. Cut and grind. A lot of, just a lot of work. And we got that right here. Okay, so I'm going to shut this down. I'm going to start working on the other leg. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut it here, and then I'm going to start grinding it back, and then test fitting, grind, test fit, grind, test fit. I'll come back once it's in, okay? All right, guys. See you in a bit. All right, and we are back, and I am much, much happier with this side than the other side. I did learn a few things while doing the first one. So again, I just created more cleanup on the other one. It is going to work. It's going to look good once we're done. I learned some things, so implemented them here for this one. Let's go ahead and take a look. As you can tell, much, much better. Look at that angle, like he's running. So I now have him charging at an opponent. I had to abandon the idea of him foot stomping the carapace of another knight. The geometry just didn't work, and the height. So once I got this leg set, pinned in, and then started to work with this leg, I would have had to twist and contort the joints where to me they started to look unnatural. And this started to become, the base started to expand and get much larger. And I really don't want to make it any larger, because you'll notice, I got this tail all the way out here already. So the base, or the overall circumference, so to speak, right? If you're going to take the circular or the area of the footprint, it really starts to get big on the table with this tail hanging out here. So I didn't want to expand the base anymore, so we can still use a carapace. We'll just have to center it more, maybe, like this, and have him running over the top of it or something. We'll decide later. Let's take a closer look. I'll show you both now so you can understand where I made some mistakes on the first one. So this one, right off the bat, you can see I left his attached. So the thigh section, where I cut it off of this one, on this particular right leg, I left it attached and buried it in there. So the sculpting work, one, I used it to glue, so now it's really in there good, okay? But the sculpting work is much, much more reduced. So to achieve an excellent look on this side, really quick. It's going to be super, super quick. Not a lot of cleanup work on this side to do at all. Now let's go back to this side. See underneath there, we have to do some repair. We have to stuff, like I said, aluminum foil or something in there to go ahead and recover that area and resculpt. But again, doable. So again, loving this. It's coming out good. I'm happy so far. This is going to be the legs portion. So we're going to move on. We're not going to finish the legs. What we're going to do is we're going to get the whole model built frame-wise, or like the skeleton, the base. and all the artistic stuff, the little, armor plates and all that kind of stuff, like we said, we're going to do later. So right now, the first 3 or 4 videos is going to be me setting up the skeleton, okay, or the foundation that everything else is going to work on. But there we go. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to close this one out. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start working on the arms. We're going to go left and right arms. I'm going to get all the arm components out. This section here, we are actually going to cut this whole section out, and we're going to embed into the side the frame. And that, again, that's going to be tough because there's things we have to do where I've got to get the exhaust of a Chaos Knight to be able to, like, through these holes, I have to align that so it all lines up, or again, it's going to be jacked up, to use a technical term. So hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, and hit that like button, and tell all your friends on social media that there's this dude out there called Everyman's 40K. His name is Everyman, doing some crazy stuff with the Rampager. Let them all know, please. And like we always say, may all your dice rolls come up 6s unless you're looking for a 1. Peace out, everybody.